What's up guys, Braden here with SuperATV, and today we're going to be showing you how to install SuperATV's full aluminum doors on this Polaris RZR Pro R4. So let's get right to it. First thing we're going to do is go ahead and remove our seat. Just grab a hold of the latch on the back side right here and just pull the seat out and set it aside. Then we'll just flip our seat base up just like so, and then we'll just go ahead and remove the front seats as well. And we're going to remove these two bolts. Just set these bolts aside. We're going to retain them for later use. Then we're going to come down here to the bottom of the door, and we're going to have two bolts as well. We're going to go ahead and remove those. We're going to come right here and remove these two factory bolts as well to secure the front door. We'll retain these bolts as well. Now we're going to go through and remove enough of the door skin hardware, which is the T40 bolts down through here, to remove our handle. So right here's one. Move it. So we're going to grab a T30. You got to be careful with these bolts here. I like to use an impact to put an abrupt shock on them. Sometimes if you use a ratchet, you can strip them out. Just push down on it hard. Make sure you retain that hardware. And we can just kind of pick up on our door, separate it from the skin, snake out our handle. Then we're going to grab an 8mm socket and remove these two 8mm bolts. We'll retain all our hardware from this as well. And then we're going to have some pins that are going to need to be removed as well from our factory hinges. What we're going to do is take a flat screwdriver, pry this clip off, and then push the pin out. So pry these clips off. Grab your clip, set it aside, and then push the pin out. If the pin doesn't push out, what we like to do is just take a punch, and we're going to punch the pin out. And you may have to remove your door skin a little bit more here to get this pin out. It's easy enough at this point. So now, as you can see, we can separate that out to pull the pin out of there. So once you get it punched loose, just grab a hold of your pin, pull it the rest of the way out, set your pin aside, and we're going to do the same thing down here at this hinge. Take the clip off. Our clip fell down underneath there. It's no big deal. We'll be able to gain access to it once we remove the pin here. Once you get the pin loose, just slide it right out. Remove the pin. So for this door, we're just going to go ahead and remove the skin. You're going to have a mixture of T30s and T40s. So now we're going to remove all the T25s securing the door skin. Go ahead and remove the frame from the skin. Set the skin aside. Go ahead and remove the handle. Set it aside. Gonna remove the 8mm screws out of the bottom down here. Then our hinges. Just take a screwdriver again, remove the clip. Remove the clip. And then this pin, you can actually get to it just like this, tap it. Once you tapped it, just go ahead and remove it. Slide that out of the way. Over here, do the same thing. Move the clip. And the pin. So now we're in here on the back seat. We're going to remove the following push pins. And we'll just go ahead and remove this panel here. Now we're gonna grab our filler panel. Or filler bracket. You're gonna have to grab this filler bracket for the correct side. We're working on the passenger side. So we're gonna grab this one. We're just gonna slip it up into position here. Slide in like this. We're just gonna let it hang. And what we're gonna do is come to the inside. There's gonna be two different holes. We're gonna line the threaded clip up with the hole that goes through the back of the plastic. We're gonna line our bracket up with the hole that's in the plastic. So we'll have one here and then one down here on the bottom as well. Get it lined up, install our hardware. Once our hardware is started, we're just gonna go ahead and snug it up. So once we have our M8 by 12mm bolts started into our filler panel bracket, we're gonna go ahead and grab our filler panel and the M6 by 12mm Allens. What we're gonna do is take the panel, line it up with the threaded clips on our filler panel bracket, and just get our hardware started. Now what I like to do here is push this panel back as far as it'll go. So all the way into the fender here. Then we're gonna grab our small 90-degree bracket and another M6 by 12 Allen. Line this up with the hole in the panel. We're just gonna go ahead and run this up till it's tight by hand. Okay. To where this flat section is going up against the inside of the fender. So just take it, slide it up there, line it up. Tighten the hardware by hand. Just like so. Once we have our brackets in place and our filler panels all the way back, looks good, looks like it's sitting correctly. We're gonna take a paint marker and mark us a hole right in the center. Once we have our hole marked, we'll go ahead and remove our side panel completely. So set that aside for the time being with the hardware. And now we should have a spot up here for a hole, and a spot right here. We're gonna drill these out to at least a 6.5 millimeter. Just be mindful when you're drilling holes, as always, of what's below it. In this instance, there's nothing really there, but always be careful of that when you're drilling anything. Come up here and we'll drill our upper hole. Now that we have our hole drilled, we're gonna take our M6x20 hardware, drop it through, line it up with the hole, go down on the bottom side. And I like to run these up to where they touch, but they still move. Just makes it easier when you're trying to go through and fully tighten everything when these are already somewhat snugged. So you can see we can still manipulate it around, but it's snug enough that it's not gonna take too long to tighten it when it is time to do so. Do the same thing up here on the top. There we go. You always want to start with these two. The ones for the brackets we just installed, I'm going to start with those. These are the ones that can be the more difficult ones to get installed. So reach behind there and get a hold of it. By hand. Just hold it while we snug it. Loosely start everything. We still want to push this filler panel back as far as we can when we have all our hardware started. Alright, so once all the hardware is started, just put quite a bit of pressure pushing back on this. Once I have it all the way back, I'm just going to go ahead and fully tighten my hardware down. You can gain access, you can, you're good. All right, now we're gonna grab our rear hinge bracket. This will be the lower, so it should look just like this. This going up, it's gonna install the machine just like so. So in the kit, we get shims. We recommend starting with 3 of these shims. So you take your factory hardware, slide it through, and slide all 3 of these shims on like this. You're going to line this up with the lower threaded hole. We're just going to hand tighten the hardware for now. Just grab a 13mm socket and snug these up. So again, we're on the passenger side. This is the rear lower hinge bracket. It'll be mirrored on the opposite side, so it should look just like so, to where it's lining up like this with our filler panel. We like to start out with 3 shims. Now we're going to grab the upper hinge mount as well as the factory hardware and 2 of the provided M8 nylock nuts. We're going to take this bracket, line it up just like so. So now we're going to grab our upper hinge mount, take the factory hardware and 2 of the provided nylock nuts, M8. Just go ahead and get this lined up. Get our hardware started. So it should sit just like so. So now we're gonna grab the lower hinge bracket. The way that you're gonna be able to tell part U, which is the lower, from part T, is part U is gonna have this long gusset, to whereas part T will have just a short gusset. So I'm gonna take part U here, the lower bracket, thread it in. And this will be the same for both sides. The U's and the T's are. I'm just gonna go ahead and run this up. It'll kind of hold itself. Now we're gonna get part T, which is our upper mount. Using our factory hardware and more of our M8 nylock nuts, we're gonna attach it just like so. I'm gonna run the bolt head from the outside in. So it should look just like so. Now we're going to remove these two factory bolts. We're going to get our striker bracket. This will either be J or K depending on which side you're working on. And our spacers with our long M8s. You just want to make sure that this bends to the front. Line it up in the holes that we just previously removed the hardware from. I'm just going to run these up till they're snug. Install it just like this. Of the striker with a flat washer, slide it through, and put a nut on the back side. And we're going to take a 5mm Allen and a 17mm wrench and snug that striker up. So this is going to be a 6mm, not a 5mm, but still a 17mm wrench. So that's snugged. We're not going to fully tighten it yet. Just leave it snugged for now. So now we're up front. We're going to go ahead and remove our front striker, the factory one. Remove the factory hardware. Go ahead and remove this. We'll grab the one out of the kit. Just lay in here like so. Just go ahead and tighten the hardware up. I'm just going to snug that up. We may have to make some adjustments, but that's okay. There's going to be a lot of adjusting to be done. Slide this up here like so. Start your nut. Now we're going to transfer all of our factory components into our new door, starting with the handle. So just take the factory hardware, put the handle in place. Go ahead and run these down by hand. I'm going to snug this up a little bit. Go ahead and run these up as well. And check it. It's right there. It unlatches and latches good. Now we're going to grab our rear door and go ahead and get it slipped into position. Best way that I've found to do this is to get it latched, get the lower or the upper, whichever one lines up the best, get it popped in, get the pin in, so that way it'll kind of hold itself there. So we have our pin started there. Our upper is off quite a bit, so we are going to have to get our 13s, loosen this up and manipulate it around until we get it lined up. Alright, so now we're free to move this however it needs to be moved. We'll go ahead and get our pin in. Once it's pinned, then we can make any adjustments needed. So with that pinned, I'm going to go ahead and grab my clip, pop my clip on my upper hinge and my lower. Lower one, we're going to have to open the door up. So when you do this, just be mindful of not binding it up against anything. Now what we're going to do is snug our hardware up. Just a little bit here. We're not tightening anything quite yet. So we're snug. We need to snug these 8mm up. And we're going to open our door. So now what you're going to do is adjust this until it opens and closes nicely. We've got ours to that point. So now we're going to head back to the table and do the exact same thing we did to this door, transferring all the OEM components into the new door. Now we're going to install our front door. Just take it, latch it onto your striker, and line it up with your hinges. Looks like our lower lined up first this time. So we'll pop our lower pin in. So then we're just going to line up our upper mount. Get our pin all the way through, and then we'll put our clip on. That one was a little tighter. I ended up using a pair of needle nose pliers to get to it. This one on the bottom, this one's going to be one of the most difficult ones to get to. So what I like to do with it is open the door after we get the pin started. We got our pin started. We're just going to tap it down into the knurling. Then what we're going to do is go ahead and latch our door. Once we have our door latched, just start snugging our hardware and making all of our adjustments. See how we line up. Looks like we need to come in a little bit. Bring that in. Grab our 8mm and we'll snug these down. Alright, so as you can see, our front door and our rear door aren't lining up the best quite yet. Well, there's tons of adjustment in these doors. So the best thing that I can tell you is when you're adjusting these, remember, you have adjustment here on your striker, you have adjustment here on your latch, and you can adjust your handle to accommodate that. You've got adjustments here, side to side, in and out. Tons of adjustment, like I said. If you can't get it to line up correctly right off the bat, you're just gonna have to continue to work with this to get it adjusted. There's no great way for me to show you exactly how to adjust it for your machine. So remember all the adjustment points, take your time. This may take a little bit of time to get these doors adjusted correctly. Like I said, we make them adjustable so they'll work on any of these machines. What you're gonna do is just repeat all these same exact steps for the opposite side. Everything's just gonna be mirrored. All the components, everything identical on the opposite side. Once you've done all that, got your doors adjusted, that's all there is to it to install SuperATV's full aluminum doors on this Polaris RZR Pro R4. Be sure to check the description below to pick yours up today, and while you're there, drop a like, comment, subscribe. We'll catch you on the next one.